Welcome to the March 16th Budget Finance Committee Department Head Review. I'd like to call this meeting to order. First order of business is approval of our March 7th minutes, our meeting last Tuesday.
I move approval of the minutes.
No, second.
Thank you. I have a first and a second. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. I see we have guests from provider agencies, so we're gonna call them up one at a time. And if you want to direct the right people to...
Well, we have the Snowmobile Club here, the Raymond Rattlers. We have the representative from RTP, I see. There may be others here, I don't know. Oh, yeah, Chamber of Commerce, Robert in the back, sorry.
So I'm going to start with the Snowmobile Club.
Yeah.
Could you speak to the mic and talk to your funding requests?
How you doing, Larry Wood, treasurer?
Alan Plummer, current president of the Raymond Rattlers.
Keith Thomas, just a club member.
Thank you. Now you come before us asking for,
$2,000, and that is in the recreation budget.
So we receive fees, of course, for snowmobile registrations. That's a portion of those fees, the largest portion of those fees. They're about $2,300 this year.
Yeah, 20, it ranges from 23 up to close to 20.
So basically 2,000 of the 23, yeah.
Yeah.
I see your request has not gone up. It stayed flat at 2,000. Is there anything else you want to add to your presentation?
Is there any particular things you're going to do with the money, or is this?
Just continue with maintenance and bridge repairs, and a little bit of fundraising, and donations, stuff like that.
Lonnie?
A handful of my land out back that they put some new bridges in over the last handful of years, and they do a really good job. I mean, I've known the guys their whole life, or my whole life, but needless to say, I think they do well for the town, for the club, with the resources that they have. And I know that it was 1,000 for years, and they boosted it up to 2, and it was long overdue. And I think 2 is a real small portion for what they do for the town with the snowmobile trails. So.
Thank you, Lonnie. Don?
As I say every year, and I think I can say this again, that the trails, although they're meant for snowmobiles, are open to the public for cross-country skiing, snowshoeing, dog sledding. Several years ago, my son and I were doing this. We saw all kinds of different activities out there, and so I would agree with Lonnie. They're well-maintained. They're open for the range of winter recreational activities for the public to enjoy, in addition to snowmobiling. Used with care, I guess, though.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Teresa?
Thank you to all the landowners in Raymond
Yep.
Yes.
for letting us use the trails.
What happens to the extra money that doesn't go to them? What do we do with it?
Keep it. Fund balance.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was the registration this year?
I think we took in $25.96 in this particular fiscal year, but the last couple of years it's been $23.50, $24.00.
So it's actually up a little.
Yeah, it is up a little bit. This year was $25.26.
And that's kind of on a down year as far as snowmobiling goes, because
Yeah.
it wasn't, our season kind of
Yeah.
got going late. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know.
up and down.
Like end of February?
It was in February, and I think we really only had a couple weeks here, and that was it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's critical. And we also apply for a maintenance grant through the state, we're not sure if we'll even get that this year, because we have to have so much time and the work that we do and materials that get used and for brushing trails or that, all that stuff takes into account, and we have to reach a certain amount before they'll actually reimburse us for that. So it's not necessarily given every year, so.
Are you guys members of the Maine Snowmobile Association?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do they help you with money at all, or how does that?
If you apply for the grant,
Yeah.
we only have so many miles of trail, so we only get a certain amount, like
Yeah.
about 6,300
Yeah.
max we could get. Bigger snowmobile clubs get a bigger proportion of the, because they have over 30 miles of trails.
Right.
We have just 30 miles here in Raymond.
Okay.
They don't count the lakes, and that's a big part of it, with 6 of
We
them.
don't.
Right, I know.
Any other questions for the Snowmobile Club? Raymond Rattlers? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I need to ask the videographers rather, to please start the video on the studio. We can't see who's speaking at all.
He should be listening.
Bill, I hope you heard me. We can't see the studio on Zoom.
Well, that's
Good day.
Is that you?
That's her screen, yeah.
Yeah. I think you might have to take that down.
Last year.
There, it's coming up now.
They have it there.
It's
They
coming up
could see
now.
it.
So, Robin Mullins is here from
They're
the
working on it.
chamber.
Okay, I've got Eric coming up. There's
Hi.
some issue with the Indiana showing up on the computer.
This one's broken.
Mullins.
Happy birthday.
Can we go back to video in a bit?
I own it. Jeez, what a nice scare. You break it, you own it.
Is there the possibility to go back to the video in a few minutes?
Who are you asking, Bill?
I'm asking whoever's presenting it.
They left. That was the
Snowmobile Club.
Snowmobile Club.
I think he's asking if we will just continue the meeting until video comes up,
Okay.
so.
Is that what you mean, Bill?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Next we'll
I
have
speak the same language.
Robin Mullins from the Chamber of Commerce, please.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Good evening. I'm Robin Mullins, President and CEO of the Sebago Lakes Region Chamber of Commerce. I've been in my role for 3 years, and I'm so excited. This is the first time I've actually gotten to see all of you people live and in person. Yay! So just a reminder, the Sebago Lakes Region Chamber of Commerce covers the towns of Casco, Gray, Naples, New Gloucester, Raymond, Sebago, Standish, and Windham. We have a mission, and our mission is to foster economic growth and prosperity in the region that we serve. So it would be those 8 towns. And I do ask for funds from each of those 8 towns. I'm asking the town of Raymond for $1,000, which is what we asked for last year. And we like to say that it's not a donation, it's an investment in the town. And hopefully what we give to you is well worth the investment of the $1,000. And we'll talk a little bit about what it is that we as a chamber try to offer to you as a town. We serve approximately 300 businesses. About 95% of those, and those businesses are throughout the state of Maine, but about 95% of them are in the Sebago Lakes region. We also have our own 501c3. It's a charitable trust, and we give to the 12 food pantries in the 8 towns that I mentioned earlier money every single year to help with food insecurity in the Sebago Lakes region. Since we started that, we've given over $145,000. Last year, I'm proud to say that it was the most we've ever given. We gave $25,000 to those 12 food pantries, and the Raymond Food Pantry got just under $2,000 of that from us based on our Feed the Need donations. One of the big things that we do for Feed the Need is the polar dip, which is part of the fishing derby that the Sebago Lake Rotary Club puts on. And I just have to say how happy I am, and I'm probably going to get teary-eyed. Nate and his team are absolutely wonderful in helping us get ready for that. They go out there and they cut a nice big hole in the ice for us, and they're available the day of to help with setup and things like that, and also the fire and rescue. Especially this year, the ice actually was crumbling around us because it wasn't as thick as we wanted it to be. So I just want to say thank you to the town of Windham and all of those folks. We were able to get all of our jumpers through. We made about $5,000 on that this year, but we definitely couldn't do it without the partnership that we get from the town of Raymond, so thank you. We also offer scholarships. We offer our scholarships, obviously, to the schools that are in the 8 towns that we support. So that would be Great New Gloucester, Bonnie Eagle, Lake Region High School, RSU 14, Windham and Raymond. And we also offer it to the Windham Christian Academy as a private school as well. One of the things that I really, really am proud of is we don't just give a scholarship to a graduating senior, we also include adult ed students in that as well. As a person who had a daughter who graduated from an adult ed program because normal school did not work for her, I know the importance of the adult ed programs, and I think it's important that we recognize those folks as well. And a couple of years ago, we did have a student from Raymond who got our scholarship, and he went to HVAC school, and now he's working for a company, and he's doing so well. So I'm very proud of him. So last year we didn't give an RSU 14 student, but we did give 2 out. We gave one to a Great New Gloucester student and one to a Lake Region student. So we're gearing up for that right now. We just sent out all of the schools the information on the scholarship. So hopefully we can get that taken care of in May so that we can present those at their award nights. What are some other things that we offer our towns and businesses? We offer marketing opportunities for businesses, and they don't have to be a member of our chamber to have marketing opportunities. We do offer them to businesses that do not participate as members, as paying members to the chamber. We also have a town listing on our website. If you were to go there, you will find the town of Raymond. We list beaches, hiking, other things that you can do in the Raymond area. It's also in the booklet that you have in front of you. We have a full page that's dedicated to the town of Raymond, and the town of Raymond owns that page. Whatever they want to do or add or whatever, they're more than welcome to do that and to partner with us on that. We have a new booklet that's coming out in May, so if there's any changes that people want, they can let me know, and we can absolutely make those changes. Oh, let's see, what else do I have here? We also partnered with Raymond Parks and Rec. We do some stuff with them for Easter. We also partnered with them for the Be the Influence in the Family Fun and Fitness Film Festival. Say that fast 5 times at Tasseltop that they do each spring. That's a fun event, and we like to partner with them on that. And we also have information on our website, on our Facebook page, and in our newsletter regarding any town events or things that are going on, because we want to make sure that we keep our members up and current on what's going on in the town of Raymond. I did want to finish. I've never done this in the past, but I thought it would be nice. This year, I've included what other towns are paying us because, and it's interesting. Somebody said, I had that question, so thank you for giving us that information. $1,000 is what we do ask for most of our towns. Windham does give us $4,500. Clearly, they're a bigger town, so we can ask for a little bit more money. Naples does give us $2,000, and then the town of Sebago, being that it's a smaller town, does give us $500. So just wanted to be very transparent on what it is that we ask for the other towns. And again, hopefully for the $1,000 that we ask for an investment, you're getting that back in many, many different ways. And I absolutely enjoy working with Don. He is one of those people that if we have an event, I know he's going to show up. I can't always count on all of my town managers, but I generally can count on Don. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. Any questions?
Once again, during the pandemic, the chamber was very, very supportive, and with PPE, with community education, working with a health officer, and many other things, grant assistance and providing materials. We still have a lot of things left over.
I've heard that from a lot of towns.
So thank you for that again.
Absolutely. And then, Dawn and I have had this conversation. I've had this conversation with other town managers as well. I mean, obviously, you're separate towns, and it makes sense for you guys to do things individually, but sometimes it makes sense for us to do things as a region. And one of the things, you guys have given us some ARPA funds, and I have gotten those from other towns as well, and we're doing a comprehensive marketing campaign. We've got some videos that actually were just posted to our website, and they're for the entire region, not just for any specific town, and they're for all of the towns. We've got 4 of them actually, so we're excited about that, and we're trying to figure out how we're going to utilize those for marketing moving forward. We have also got Facebook videos that we're doing monthly, Instagram Reels that we're doing monthly, YouTube videos that will be coming soon, and then we're also doing Google Ads, and so the ARPA money is being used for those. Yes, did you have a question?
Not a question. Tell them about your legislative event that you just had.
Absolutely. We had a legislative breakfast where we invited, we have 10 legislators that represent the 8 towns that we support here in the chamber. And of the 10, 5 of them were able to come to a breakfast last week. And each of them had a table, and we had business leaders as well as town municipality leaders there as well. And it was an opportunity for business owners and for the towns to say, hey, this is what's going on in our realm and what we need you to hear as legislators. And it was also so for me, I said for the legislators, it's an opportunity for you to listen and learn, but also to say, hey, this is what's going on in Augusta, and letting people know that some of what they heard is already being addressed. So that is something that we have not done since I've been in my position, mostly because of COVID, but moving forward, it will be at least an annual event to pull. I think it's really important for the legislators to know what's going on in our region and to let us know how they can help us and how we can help them.
Bless you.
Thank you. Lonnie.
Kudos for whoever pulled, I mean, I'm sure it was more than one person that put together the book. There's a lot of great information in here. And
it's my office manager who does most of the work, and we do have a design person that we work with. And we try to keep everything
nice.
Local. It's a local designer. We print it locally here in Maine as well. That's
the information inside, very informative and very vast.
Thank you.
So, very nice.
Awesome. Any other questions or anything? I could stand up here and talk all night long.
Please don't.
Thank you very much.
I just came from Bray, so.
We'll give you $200.
And that,
Out of our pocket.
all right, thank you guys so much. Have
Thank
a good
you.
day.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
I don't.
Have the RTP bus.
Next up from RTP, please introduce yourself. Regional Transportation.
Yes, good evening. My name is Don Libby. I'm the manager of transit operations for Regional Transportation and also the Lakes Region Explorer. We've made a request from all the towns along this route, like we have in the past. This year's request, we went up for a little from last year's request, which I know that the town of Raymond didn't support or supported it somewhat, I guess. But we made a request for $10,000 from every town. We have an increase in expenses, as everybody does in this world that we live in. But in any event, our budget for that Lakes Region Explorer runs about $196,000 a year, and we try to get 25% participation from the 5 towns on the route. We are adding a second run in the morning, a commuter run. So we have a 6:30 that leaves at Bridgeton and comes down. We're actually going to be adding a 7:30 come Memorial Day for people that work in Portland. And we also are adding a 4th evening shuttle coming back out of Portland up this way, or up through Wyndham, and all the way up through Bridgeton after Memorial Day on a Saturday schedule as well. So we'll be running 4 round trips a day very soon, back to where we were pre-COVID, and ridership numbers over the last quarter, 3 or 4 months have been hitting really strong numbers. So I think we're finally seeing the after effects of I think people using public transportation and getting back in the swing of things. It took a long haul there to get that done. So we're in the process of adding a 3rd bus to the program as well. So we will always have backups in play for that run. So that's where we're at. We're requesting $10,000, and hopefully you guys can see fit to help us with that and help us keep these things on the road. Any questions?
Any questions, please? Seeing no questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Don.
Thank you. Is that the last of the provider agencies?
No, we got Russ Hutchinson from the Crescent Lake Watershed.
Okay.
Would you like me to speak now?
Yes, go right ahead.
Okay. I'm Russ Hutchinson. I'm the president of the Crescent Lake Watershed Association, also a Raymond resident. We're a volunteer organization of interested parties around Crescent Lake, and we promote good practices for lakeside owners and anyone else who's going on the lake. We try to get our educational word out to folks. We're also, along with RWPA, we cost share on the cost of the courtesy boat inspectors for Crescent Lake in our attempts to keep any invasive species out of the lake. That's the biggest part of our budget, obviously. And we also try to do some educational work through our newsletters and our website to get the word out about good practices on and around the lake. And I think we've, in the past couple of years, last year we asked for $500, and thank you very much, everybody generously supported that, and we're coming back and asking for the same amount this year to help us defer some of those costs of the educational and courtesy boat inspections. So if anyone has any questions, I certainly entertain those at this time.
I don't see any questions.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks, Russ.
Thanks.
Is that it for provider agencies?
Teresa's saying yes.
All right. Right now, we have Joe Crocker on the phone from North Carolina?
Myrtle Beach, I think.
Myrtle Beach.
He's on vacation, but he wanted to come.
Hilton Head.
Oh, we hate you even more, Joe.
Play a little golf, are you?
We made it. Some of our golf clubs didn't, but we'll figure that out later. No, thank you, everybody. Guess I don't see a screen of what's being shown, but we'll start with the general fund. That's okay. One of the increases this year is the salary by $18,000. That's to help support one of the new ventures that we're going to have of a Raymond summer camp, partnered with Camp Hines to use their location, and it will be the start of hopefully a great program that will seek a lot of benefits having in our community, as you can tell, with childcare being really hard to get. So that the increase will help support the camp director that will be staffed and a lifeguard.
Joe, when is that going to start?
Yeah, so we're going to open up registrations March 27th, and we're working with SAC and
Yes.
Wyndham Parks and Rec to kind of all do it at the same time. So people will have hopefully options, and we're all kind of different in what we can present to the campers. We all run it a little bit differently. So, and then that will start June 26th. And it'll run 8 weeks.
Is that a day camp program?
Just a day camp, yes. Strictly 8 to 5. So it helps people who have 2 working parents, and yeah.
What ages, Joe?
We're going to try out 1st to 6th grade.
1st to 6th?
Yep, 1st to 6th, and then as we can hopefully find a bigger space that can hold a higher volume of kids, I can see this as being offset by our program registrations.
So just to jump in real quick about daycares, daycares are closing left and right. There is such a shortage of them right now. There's one right now on 302 that's closing. There's another one in Standish that's closing. My phone is ringing nonstop for daycare, and people cannot find it. So having a summer camp here in Raymond is the big benefit, huge benefit. And I told Joe it is probably going to fill up within hours.
Yeah.
Why do you feel they're closing? Costs.
No, DHS. DHS literally will come into our house and sit for 3 hours going through our paperwork. And it's all about the paperwork right now, because I feel DHS, the only thing they can control is the daycares. So people are done. They're fed up, you know. So they're just, it's not worth it anymore. It's crazy. It's a bad time for people that have kids and trying to get them in daycare, and you can only have so many under the age of 2 also. So I'm licensed for 12, and I can have 6 under the age of 2. But it's nuts. It's bad right now as far as people trying to find daycare, and people have to work.
Yeah.
Joe, how many
Some
openings?
projections.
How many
Go ahead,
openings
Joe.
are you gonna have?
I can right now probably comfortably 30, and the issue is if we're outside, it's fine. It's when bad storm, anything like that, we're going to be centralized into Messer Hall. So 30 is probably the most you want in that building. So that's where that challenge is.
30.
So if we can get a bigger building at some point, then we can obviously open up more spots for campers. And so I did some projections in this because I've been working with SAC also, because they can only handle 39 kids based off DHS regulations. So together we can have 69 Raymond kids, but they're still in that group, that age range, about probably 200 kids that might not have opportunity to at least do summer camp in Raymond.
Do you have an idea on what the price is gonna be?
Yeah, so my price is going to be $1,400 for 8 weeks, and we're only going to offer a full camp option, just so we can have the guaranteed funds.
Joe, have you thought anything about scholarships for some kids that parents that can't afford it?
Don mentioned that, and I think he can explain the model a little bit better.
There's a couple of options. You could build that into the program, or I was going to ask you to have permission to utilize community assistance funds, because I think it's of utmost importance that families that cannot afford to participate have the opportunity to do that. And we talked about some other innovative things that we could possibly do. And in the old days in Raymond, I understand that the school used to work with the local camps and have a camp opportunity, because we have a number of summer camps between the towns of the Lake region, and so there's something we could possibly do there. I was asking Joe to reach out, and maybe we could accommodate a few more people that way. But anyway, back to the question of what do you do with people who can't afford it? I think the town should step up and try to assist with that. And if you don't use something like a community assistance fund, if you don't feel that's appropriate, then I would say build it into the budget.
Okay, that's $175 a week. That's nothing.
That's half, right?
Yeah, that's low. That is low for. Are you offering meals? Or are they going to be bringing them?
No, they'll have to bring their own lunch and snacks.
Okay, all right.
There might be opportunities, like if it's a Smitty's trip or something like that, we can roll in a lunch. But yeah, most times we'll be providing their own.
Do you think that's a flaw in the model, that they need to bring their own food? I mean, how many kids are gonna show up with nothing?
Oh,
There
they
is-
forget it all the time. So, but on the other hand it's also really expensive too.
Oh, yeah.
Groceries right now are awful, but, yeah, I mean, I would have some
One of
stuff there as
the-
backups.
Yeah, one of the options is, and I've done this in other communities, is work with the nutrition program through the schools. And if you're in I think a certain district or area, you might be able to get free lunch. So that's something I can reach out to RSU 14's nutrition program to look at.
Joe, are you planning to use the waterfront there for the camp?
Yes, they will let us use, I'm gonna mess up I think it's West Beach.
Okay. Do you have in your figures there? Do you have waterfront people,
There will
lifeguards?
be, yeah, so one of the portions of the salary is to cover a lifeguard. I just found out yesterday, though, that our lifeguard is going to apprentice under electrician, so. So I might be getting recertified, I don't know. We'll see.
So your total budget's gonna be 42,000?
That's, yeah, based off the
30 times 1,400?
registrations.
Yeah.
Do you have any funds for any kind of error? Does that make sense?
Oh, like,
Contingency.
pretty much a cushion.
Contingent funds?
No, so the salary, that's why the camp
that?
director, I think will help offset those costs. And some of the startup costs will come from that projects and maintenance line.
Okay.
Some of the supplies that we need, gym games, rec balls, stuff like that, so.
Okay.
Well, Joe, I think this is gonna be a wonderful thing for the kids in Raymond, I really do. But I think you're underfunding yourself a little bit, but for the first year, it's probably a good start and see where you go.
Yeah.
But I think next year you might need to look at it again.
Increase of the camp fee.
The camp fee, yeah.
Okay.
And every year too, the fees go up for, in Cumberland County and stuff like that. But no, get the people in so they know what it is and then they know to sign up and wait for it.
Right.
You know what I mean, when it comes out.
Right, and then Joe can make it a better place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, $175 and very well could be half of someone's net for the whole
No,
week.
right.
So that's already up there for some people.
Sorry, guys, I didn't mean to talk over you. So one of the issues that we have is per volume. So if you look at Wyndham Parks and Rec, we're, I think, maybe $100 difference in the whole camp fee, but they have 130. So
Oh my gosh.
130 campers. So that's kind of the struggle with price per child. But we can definitely revisit that.
Great idea, though.
I think it's also important to acknowledge the Boy Scouts for cooperating with
Yeah.
us, and we did it on a barter basis, so it's kind of a pilot program, and I think it benefits, the town certainly, and I think the Boy Scouts as well. And they have some wonderful facilities. If you haven't been in there, post the effort that the Army did, or the Innovative Readiness Training Program of a few years ago, they have a new dining hall. It's spectacular. All sorts of, new activity buildings. And so it's really, really quite something. And the site itself on Panther Pond is, well, it's Panther Pond. So I don't know if we could ask for a better location to have this. So thank you to the BSA.
Great. So the only change in the general fund is I'm just lessening the projects and maintenance line by 10 grand. Because I think just to shift that more towards the salary line, and I think I'm at the point where I need more people than actual items, stuff like that. So, any other questions on these accounts?
Maybe I should know this answer, but what happened to Raymond baseball?
I just rolled that into if we're kind of the CIP playground. So a lot of our, infield fill and stuff like that comes from that account line.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Little League did merge with G&G. With Little League.
Which definitely decreased the budget that they need, for sure.
Yeah. I guess next we can move to Tasseltop. That's what I have next here.
Yes, go ahead.
So we did, Teresa and I kind of looked at this and try to get the revenues a little bit more. Now that we have 3 years of data, try to get in the middle of our years. So for all of our revenue streams, about 129,000 for the season. The big expense change that I wanted to add and talk about is the structure repairs line. We put 30,000 there, and that would make it look like we're coming out as a loss. But we do have a surplus in there, and this is to be used to help with that pretty much this strategic plan that I had placed in Tasseltop. So obviously we have the ARPA funds for the sewer, bathrooms, anything like that. We might need to throw maybe a little bit extra on top of that, and we could use this line to do that. But I'm hoping to get a new little Parks garage for the site to move where Barry is, which is pretty much in the cabin rental area. So he can't do any work, woodwork or anything like that during the camp season, which is now 21 weeks instead of 12. So it started to kind of slow down some of the his job duties as far as keeping up with. So we like to move that across the street and away from them. So that's one of the big changes there.
Joe, is Tasseltop booked for the year?
Oh yeah. And now I'm getting all the emails and phone calls and just telling people that we are already filled. So definitely I think was a great deal, and I think with the improvements Barry and Karen have made it even more desirable. And yeah, we're rebooked and everyone's coming back from last year.
Did you go up on the rental?
We did, yeah, we went up to 1,500.
What happened to the 35,000 from last year, 2023? It's crossed off. Anybody know?
What are you looking at?
CIP playground?
The CIP for the, because every year I ask for 35,000 to be put in the CIP playground, and that
was the
covers.
playground?
Yeah, the playground mulch and stuff like that. It's crossed off.
But that's not Tasseltop, is it?
I'm just looking on his
on the
full
blue
budget,
page.
but it's, yeah, sorry, on the blue sheet.
So it's in the
Yeah.
CIP?
Okay, I'll wait till we
Yep.
get the CIP then.
Yep. Well, they're supposed to speak to it, but yeah, it's included this year, Teresa.
But
Can
was-
you make the print on this a little smaller?
Yeah. You didn't bring your
That's
glasses,
my fault,
Joe?
dude. That was my one. I was trying to get everything on one page, and I
He
shrunk
thinks
it
he's
too
cool,
much.
he doesn't need them.
Yeah.
It wasn't the-
It's down
Any
the
other
bottom.
questions with Tasseltop?
It was, Teresa, to answer your question, it was overlooked somehow. It was overlooked in the current fiscal year for FY '23. That's why it's crossed off. It did
Okay.
not get funded this year, but it is in for the CIP for the
Okay.
FY '24.
Okay, I just saw it
Sorry.
crossed off, so, all right.
Curious about the Tasseltop cabins, the increase from 3 to 5. What exactly is that difference for, the cabins?
That's just to help with upgrades. We need a new bulkhead, stuff like that. So it actually, at some point, we probably need even more investment into it. It has become a little bit outdated on some of the sleeper cabins. So definitely got to invest in those. Barry does a great job. I mean, pretty much all we're paying for is the materials, and he does all the labor and upgrades. That's what the increase is.
Great deal.
Can I throw something out there?
Go ahead, Teresa.
Just for you guys that don't know about Tassel Top, I think it was only open, what, he said 12 weeks for the cabins, and when we brought Joe in, he has revamped the whole Tassel Top down there, opened it up. There's different events going on down there. They're renting cabins now for like, what do you say, 21 weeks now, and we're getting a lot more revenue in, and he's really, really turned it around and has brought a lot of money in down there.
Plus, it's really been upgraded from
Yeah.
what it used to be.
And
It's not
importantly,
bad
the
bathrooms.
the feel of the park has not changed. It's still a very rustic place, and, you know, so it's very, has a very state park sort of feel. I'd say it's equal to the experience you'd get there. And greater than when you had the cabins.
And they're already booked up for the year, so they book up the year before, which is good, so next year's season's already done, which is great, so, and 1,500 apiece. So, yeah, so with Tassel Top brings in good money, which is good.
Lonnie?
Is there any, Joe, is there any variables or pieces of the puzzle that you didn't forecast that now you're like, oh, no, this is going to be an issue down the road? Or, and I'm not looking at little minor things, but more of like, you know, big ticket items like, oh, God, I should have had better air conditioners, or, I mean, something to that effect that we should be thinking about in a kind of budget.
The biggest one, Lonnie, is the bathroom situation. Once we got the Royal Thrones, so they're called the portable trailer toilets, people just couldn't say enough good things, and now we can't go back. So, so going forward, it's just making sure we can get that septic system in, get the bathrooms in, and the biggest thing is the snack shack. Right now, we can't do anything that's not pretty much frozen. So we have to microwave everything. We have no running water, so it really limits what we can do there. And it's hard to keep people there the whole day and not go out, leave again to get lunch when you can't make a burger or pizza or hot dogs or anything like that. So that's the biggest project. And we just got approval from LWCF to start in fall, that initiative with the ARPA grant, and get that done. So if everything goes smoothly, we'll hopefully start that in the fall.
That's cool.
Thank you.
So I guess, I don't know if you want to review the special revenue accounts. This is just kind of projections of kind of what the programs we're offering and what the expenses of those programs cost. So there's a lot of different little things in there, but I think the biggest revenue generators are going to be that summer camp, and then our winter program is the ski program. So those are two big ones, and then everything else is like enrichment programs from clubs, pickleball, trying to think what else, Star Chess Club, running club, stuff like that. So a big shout out to all the volunteers that have really helped grow this side of Parks and Rec, and really my biggest passion is the programs and what that provides for families and children to try new things and hopefully enjoy some great activities that will last a lifetime.
I'll do that if he doesn't.
So Joe, I keep getting emails on pickleball.
Me too.
All right, so
welcome. It's the fastest growing sport in the world.
I mean, it's for people my age and older, I guess. What?
Yeah.
No, my age and older.
Lonnie keeps telling me how wonderful it is.
Yeah.
So, how many courts do we have in Raymond right now?
We have 3 tight courts in RES. It's there's some house rules, like no overhead swings near the 8-foot hoops, and watch out for your neighbors on the other court. But we can fit 3, and per day we get, I think 19 to 21 is our max that we can have in one day.
Oh my God.
And those are on Mill Street, or?
No, it's an RES.
This is indoor, Raymond Elementary.
Oh, okay.
We have one outdoor court now that's taped at the basketball court. But what happens is we have a concentrated group of pickleball players in the winter because it's indoors, and then when we go outdoors, it gets spread out all across Maine, just because there's no centralized outdoor pickleball courts.
This might be a good time, Joe, to segue into your special proposal.
The big ticket
Thanks,
item
Joe.
here. Yeah. So the CIP, one of the proposals we have is a tennis court. So I applied for a USDA grant, got accepted for $25,000 for 3 tennis courts, and then that would be lined for 6 pickleball courts. We got the estimate of $225,000 to $275,000. $250 is what we're asking. And then there's also a late option as well that we don't have to pick up, but I wanted to present that because it was in the grant. I got the specs drawn, so.
And where would you locate these?
This would be taking place of the back left baseball field at Mill Street.
Isn't that the pool?
Yeah.
The mud run?
It's either a pool or tennis court that we can do there. So what we do is build up, the basketball court there is held really well for just slight material down. So this would be a good option for us to kind of utilize that space and have what I think Mill Street should be is more of the leisurely recreation. So people just, come into town, want to play tennis or, play pickleball. They have a spot, and I think our Raymond residents would really love the added value of having this in town.
So Lonnie can vouch because of baseball. We tasked Joe when he came on to figure out what to do with that field down at Mill Street because it has gone down, the park has. And we have tried years. Donnie was president of baseball, I was president of baseball, and it was always a swamp back there. It really was.
Always. And we did a lot of work too.
Yeah.
We did a lot of tree cutting. I don't know, Nate and his crew has done a lot of work. So
The problem is you can't get drainage there because it's a low spot, and so
you'd have to lift.
And so what's happening now, of course, there's a little less interest in baseball than there has been. We are going to get the school, which has a very nice field. And the other field, I think, is a little better than the backfield. So when you build up the tennis courts, you can get the drainage you need. And it's also, Joe tells me, and I've had a number of people talk to me as well, there's a lot of interest in the tennis and pickleball right now. And that goes across to several other age groups. So something for the older residents as well. And
it is a wellness sport. It really is. It's a
wellness court, yeah.
Really
I think we have enough baseball fields, and particularly when we get the school field, we're going to have enough baseball fields, and we're never going to make that field into a good baseball field.
Well, no, but the only thing that field was ever for, that whole park down there was baseball and a little bit of a playground.
Right.
Now you've got
Even if
basketball, you've got
if you did the
court,
field,
tennis.
you lifted that field.
Yep.
You still have balls that go out into the woods that are pretty much lost, and that's 10 a game.
Exactly. Oh yeah.
So and it's never. I think by changing it to something like this is a great idea because
offers a lot to the town.
Yes, it does.
And one of the big issues you've got is that there's not enough courts to support the people that want to use them right now. And I think there's people here from pickleball group that can kind of talk to that too. But I mean, they've got a limit on how many they can have in there for a certain time slot, and it's filled within half an hour of the time being opened up. So there is a big desire out there.
And it's not just for kids.
No.
Yeah,
No, it's for older people.
Well, exactly. So you've got something else
They
going
teach it
on,
in elementary school.
Do they really?
Oh, yeah.
Pickleball?
Yes, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, we have 137 registered members this season playing pickleball.
Talk about the growth, Joe. What's the growth look like over the last couple of years?
I think it started with 12, but no, just nationwide, it's growing. We have over 200 members, and how we organize it with our head volunteers is through the Team Reach app. So we have over 200 members that get that. We only had 2 2-hour slots. We opened up 4 during the week, and then we had a sponsor come in and sponsor our Saturdays. So we have to pay for that gym time. So they're sponsoring that, and it's all being filled up.
So Joe, you said you got a $25,000 grant from USTA,
Yep,
and then you need another 250?
correct.
And if you want-
Where is this coming from?
Well, that's something we have to discuss, and
Okay.
so I've talked with Joe about it, and, it's kind of, to my way of thinking, a bit of a small number for a bond, so it could be a bank loan, or if you chose, I would hate to come back to the public, year in, year out, and ask for, significant appropriations. An option would be, and I'm just throwing this out there, if you had and he does have a development plan, maybe you would consider a recreation bond and say, now that's it, and we're going to do this, and then we'll see where we're at some date certain in the future. I think the desire, the demand, the support is there in the public, and so I know Teresa wants to speak to this, but that's what I might suggest, or you can just bite off this tennis court and figure a way to do that on a short-term loan, or build it into the budget. There's all kinds of options, as you know. It depends on your tolerance to the tax impact. But if you wanted to mitigate that, you'd probably bond it.
I told
or
Joe
loan.
and Dawn to come to you guys because you guys are good with the numbers, but if you do put lights in there, then people can go down there and stuff like that.
You can
And-
easily double your income.
Yeah.
You easily double
Well,
it by putting it after dark.
Just
too.
getting more community involved is what it is too. And Joe's numbers are just running right now. They really are. So if people weren't interested in it, you'd still be at 12.
Would you rent out the courts, Joe?
You could, it's tough when it goes outdoors, to kind of rent, and you could host tournaments. That'd be another, you could generate revenue that way.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
The other thing I'd be generating revenue off of this would be, our youth, tennis program. It's something that I've ran in the past, easily can team up with USDA to have that, so that's another offset. But as far as, it's really hard to generate, kind of revenue to pay for something like this outside.
But if you had a league, we've done this before, if you had a league, pickleball league or a tennis league or something like that, that had an organized effort and was going to be there at a time certain on a regular schedule, and you made that available to them, I think that would be appropriate. Generally speaking, though, if you have these things as public resources, they're publicly open, free.
Right.
For casual users.
And typically, a team is 2 people, and it's 140 people that are registered in the town. That's 70 teams that are ready to play at least once.
Yeah.
I know people that play almost every day.
And I was just thinking about for myself, if I want to play, first come, first serve, if you have all those teams, what does that do for the community wanting to be able to go and play?
If you have folks here, I guess you have folks here, you could ask them their tolerance for something like that.
Well, I think you would have to book through Joe and
Right.
somehow book the court time.
The biggest problem with this is going to be scheduling it. Once
Right.
you build it, they'll come, and then you're going to have to schedule it and figure out how you're going to allocate that time.
Yeah, one of the ways to mitigate that is to have designated pickleball times and just put up the schedule there at the court. So that's one way you can kind of help keep everybody happy there, so you're not mixing tennis and pickleball.
Yeah, we don't want to have fights at the pickleball courts amongst 80-year-olds. It just doesn't look good.
Right.
Busted hip from.
Having had in another town a recreational complex, the biggest problem is, you got the youth use, you got the casual users, you got the league use, and so our biggest problem was trying to make the courts available to all those different groups. And so that's the difficulty. It wasn't an issue of them sitting idle. It was a matter of trying to figure out how we could get everybody accommodated.
There isn't many sports where a 60, 70, 80-year-old person can do.
And yeah, that part's new.
That is one that they do, and they excel, and it's amazing how watching one person do it one day, and then 3 or 4 days later, they played every day, and they're just like hooked.
It's
huge.
I've never
Really is.
played this sport,
I haven't either.
but I've listened to it, and it's loud. Like, you could hear it from quite a ways.
He's got a ball.
But it is, it's loud.
It's a wiffle ball.
Yeah, but it makes noise. The neighbors on Mill Street,
There's enough woods in between there, though. There really is. Yeah. In that back corner.
Well, for the pickleball players, the crack of a bat, is a pickleball louder than that? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's no different than people yelling and screaming and swearing at basketball
it's
either.
back and forth
So-
sound. It isn't just
I know,
back of the
I
bat
know,
and call it
right.
good. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's very comparable, if not a little less pickleball. But it's
But it's constant.
One of the things Joe did do, I asked him before, was to check to see if there was a way off of Mill Street we could fix those tennis courts that are tucked in there from before, and they're just too far gone, and the cost was awful. So that's when he came up with another plan.
Who owns those?
Yeah.
Joe knows. Who owns those
It's,
tennis courts?
It's the O'Briens now. And they've really welcomed and really open to working together, but there was some constraints of parking. That road gets a little soggy too. It can be tight, and it's just even the use of from the public on their private land. It's getting a little. I wouldn't want anything to happen. So it was just hard to work through.
I think what a great benefit is too, knowing at Pineland Farm, I used to drive back through there. They always had, even one day a week, they would have the wheelchair accessible players. And I think that would be a huge benefit if that could be something that you just set a certain time and then they can come and do that too.
It's a great idea.
Absolutely.
So how would you
Fund it?
Yeah.
I agree with Don that 250 is not enough of a bond.
But what if you add the lights on there to the 440?
Well, still, I think at a minimum, you want $500,000 to $1 million to bond.
But if there's other potential bonded items in the overall budget and the overall plan.
Right.
So if you looked at a consolidated bond for those, then you're into the range where it's a little bit more tenable there. And then you get to the point of, of course, rates are where rates are, but I mean, we still, if we get enough there, then it's a function of looking at, do we self-bond or do we go through the bond bank? Because when we, and it all depends on what the rates come out when it gets run through.
But I mean, for those who are watching and the new folks, the town has, as we all know, a very, very low level of bonded indebtedness.
I was just going to ask, Sharice, where are we on bonds? Are we retiring anything?
Next page.
Not this fiscal year. I think we have 2 more years remaining.
But I'm speaking, generally speaking,
Oh,
compared to
yeah, I
other-
mean, we have a AAA rating, one of the few in the state of Maine. I mean, we don't carry a lot of debt purposely.
I know.
Right.
I know.
You got that message.
I got that message. You actually gave me that message when you first got elected.
That was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago. But I got that message, yeah.
But I think the thing I like is it's really including in different age groups.
It's a great idea. I'm not opposed to it. It's going to be, how do you finance it?
Right.
I think that you could almost look at it as this is what we do now, and this is what we can do potentially with that infrastructure.
Yep.
I think it's worth it to spend the money on the infrastructure aspect of it, because there's always a shift we could do if pickleball got to a point where we topped it out. There's always something else that there's other sports that we haven't even hit on that are very popular in other places.
Making that multi-sport field down there is awesome.
Yeah.
That's huge down there.
I gotta say, Joe has done a great job with the rec department.
He does.
I mean, when you look at Tasseltop where it was and where it is,
Yeah.
and then you look at all, this summer camp, I think is going to be a huge thing. Now this pickleball, I think Raymond residents should be pretty happy with the direction on where this rec department's going.
Yes.
I should tell you, I've gotten 0 complaints, so if you measure it that way, I've gotten a lot of requests for additional services, but I haven't gotten any complaints about, the operations of the rec department.
We don't want Joe getting too arrogant.
We had some people, by the way, we had a fair number, by the way.
I was gonna say he's a Hilton head. He's not listening.
By the way, we had a fair number of naysayers at the outset, you should know. People who, I wouldn't say it, it was time to do it. It was the time to do it, but there were people who had concerns, worries. They felt like maybe they were going to lose something. And our position from the beginning was having Joe, a professional, they're not going to lose anything. We're going to gain the back office, the organization, the planning, the development, and then they can enjoy doing the sports and doing them with their children. They don't have to spend so much time and energy as you all did trying to keep this thing going.
Right.
And I think it was great that Raymond Rec did that for decades,
totally.
but I think it's an evolutionary thing. I think it's the time, and I give credit to Teresa as a pusher of this thing, and it's worked out well.
Well, when you look at the cost and the revenues, they're almost break even, which is, you can't do better than that, so.
No, he has totally built up Tassel Top and turned it around, and the events.
And I was just looking at the budget estimate and just knowing that the estimate of that doesn't include the excavation, the conduit for lighting, access to the courts. So that's gonna be the extra stuff that we probably look for Bob.
Right. We're probably going to ask our friend Nathan to help us with some of that stuff. You never know.
He's hiding back there.
Yeah.
I think you already volunteered.
Aww. He already volunteered.
Great, thank you, everyone.
Hey, hit him straight, Joe, hit him straight.
I'll try. Take care.
Bye, Joe. Thanks.
Thank you, Joe.
Keep up the good work, Joe.
Public Works.
Let's move on to Public Works.
Did Nathan wake up?
Yeah.
Want to make sure you woke up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm good. Good.
All right, I'm gonna try to keep this as short as I can. I'm gonna go over the increases. First of all, there's a little housekeeping. Somewhere along the way, I made a mistake on the paving amount, passed it on to Melissa to do my report to you guys. It's not 320, it's 410. I wanted to get that up before I forgot and did it again.
Where is that?
It's in my CIP account, at the bottom of my memo. It says paving 320,000, it's supposed to be 410,000. The same as last year.
Can you say those numbers again, please?
Paving.
Oh, I see it.
320.
Yep.
Is actually 410. Just carry forward from last year.
Yeah, we don't want to go backwards on that.
No, not at the cost of asphalt at this point. So starting at the top, striping, road striping. We spent 27,000, well, we budgeted 27,000 last year. We're moving that up to 32,440. That is last year we spent $29,000 on striping. I overspent that line item. And talking to our contractor, they said expect at least a 10% increase in the striping. Equipment maintenance, I went from 70,000 to 75,000. That is to cover mostly petroleum products that we've seen an increase in.
So that's not bad.
No, it's not too bad.
Was it highballed initially, though?
Yeah, it was highball.
why
It went up and then it came back down a little bit on petroleum products. We changed some stuff. We went to some bulk oil, which saved a little bit of money.
You having problems with storing?
No. It's 55-gallon drum on a cart that wheels around the shop. It's actually It's actually better than the gallon jugs we were getting before.
Nice. Good job.
Uniforms. We just adjusted that to what we were actually spending. Went to 9,800. The mechanics is $5,800 for his uniforms. The crew, we give a $300 allowance for clothing allowance, and shop rags and hand soaps another $1,500. Winter sand, I pulled $10,000 out of that. We had $41,000 budgeted. I dropped it to $31,000. I budget for 4,000 yards of sand. We were able to hold that $5 a yard. That equals $20,000. The remaining $11,200 I'm gonna hang on to just for contingency in case we have a problem, bad winter, you name it.
So you'll use it when we have a problem, you mean?
Yeah. We usually carry, like this year, we filled the building last spring before the fiscal year ended. So we have only bought $940 worth of sand this year. And I have about 1,000, 1,500 yards left in the building. That's been over a course of 6 years now, at the end of the fiscal year, buying sand with the extra money instead of turning it back. That got us ahead. And the plan was at some point we could either save that money or pull the money back. A little nervous to give more than 10 back with the way things are. We've used a lot of sand this winter, just the way the weather is, and the weather patterns have changed. They're warmer, the traffic's picked up. It's been a challenge. But the $10,000 we saved there, we quickly spend in salt. Salt prices, I don't have a price for next year yet. I won't have that until May or June. I budgeted last year 73,000. The actual cost was 76. We budget for 1,200 ton of salt. That's 91 grand. We didn't spend that much last year. So our estimates now, and they're not solid estimates. I wish I had a better avenue to get that. They're suggesting $80 a ton. That'll bring us up to the $96,000. The MSW contract goes up 3% for curbside pickup, along with the recycling for the curbside pickup goes up 3%. That brings both that to $146 each. Recycling tipping fees, I added $5,000 to increase that to 30. We have a contract with them, and we're this month, and I think last month too, we were at the cap of what they can charge us.
Right.
Hoping it comes down. Again, it's a shot in the dark. It's a gamble. The only other thing I got is facilities. We asked for $50,000 last year to rehab the Main Street garage, to give Joe a better place and myself a better place to have an office. The pricing of materials and stuff, we missed that by almost half, and I didn't do it because of that. We just didn't have enough money. So we're asking for another 50 grand this year, giving us 100. The other concern I had was putting that much money into that building, and I've spoke to a couple of real estate people, and they said, whatever you put into it, you'll get it back without a problem. The building's right now is almost at what we'd have in it when we get done. I think this is something pretty important. We don't have our office is about the size of the bathroom in this building. Joe and I are sharing it, and he's been a good roommate, but he takes up a lot of space. The only other
Feel that you need more room, Nate?
Oh, yeah,
for an
yeah.
office? No, for an office, though.
No,
You just need yourself and one other person, probably.
Yeah,
or,
it's not. What we're going to do is it's going to be like a storefront where people can come in. It's kind of embarrassing right now to have somebody come in that building. It's an old building where we'd like to hire at some point somebody to come down and help us with administration. It's just not a good environment. It's not a good working environment. So we're going to take one bay and make that Joe's office and a receptionist area. And then we're going to add some storage onto the building and re-side the building and just kind of spiff it up. It's kind of an ugly duckling.
The bathroom's disgusting.
Yeah, we keep it clean. It's not dirty. It's just 300 years old, and it's not bad for a garage, but my wife won't go in there. That's how I judge things. Like I said, I had lowballed it. I thought $50,000 would do it. The contractor that came out last spring, walked around the building, he called me up, he said, you ain't got enough money to fix the side of it, put the outsiding on it. He said, you gotta dig a little deeper. And that was the plan with that. And that's gonna be a temporary fix. The other thing I'd like to talk about, we didn't put in the budget, but I'd like to talk about, and we talked about this last year with the school, town office, and a public works maintenance facility down in Sand Salt building. I gotta guess that's gonna be 2 years out, but I'd like to be able to start looking at design, what it's gonna cost, what we can do.
Because you don't have septic down there, you don't have
Yeah,
water
we got both down there, yeah.
Oh,
The septic and water. We put a trailer in for the.
Some of your biggest infrastructure. No, that's good.
Yeah.
That's a plus.
Right now, we're in 3 facilities right now, the Sand Salt building, this garage down here, and the one down on Main Street. It's doable, we've done it. It's, all the trucks are getting bigger, so they're getting tight to get into this building. The fire department stuff's getting bigger. When Matt works on, I think they got 3 custom cabs, they call them, so the front of the truck tips up. We have to get the truck in, disable the door, run the body up, and we disable the door because if the door comes up, it's going to take the top of the cab out. He's got to walk around the truck to work on it. He has to climb over the truck when the hood's open.
Which is a liability.
It's a liability.
That's not good at all.
The dump trucks, they all fit in there to get maintenance. You can't run the body all the way up on the wheelers. So if you got something in the back of the body, a hydraulic line or anything you got to work on, it's got to go outside. And that's not great.
It means you can't work on it all the time.
Well, he does. We've made do, but it would be, this would be a big step. It's a lot of money. But I think it's something that we've known was coming. I knew was coming for a long time.
Well, we don't have money because we've spent it on this pickleball.
Well, that I know. We can buy a tent anyway, and after the pickleball courts are up.
So are you looking for an office and bays, garage bays?
Sand salt building would be, I'd move the entire public works facility down there. That'd be my office. I don't know how many bays. We've looked at a couple of buildings just by going to meetings at these other garages. And Gloucester's got I think probably the best setup. The other thing we're looking at is, and we're in the starting stages of talking to Casco. They're in the very starting stages of a public works department, so they need mechanic, storage, place to work out of. That would be it wouldn't be short term. If they get going, you're probably 5 to 8 years income from them.
They've got a lot to do to build a public works
Yeah,
department.
because they've always contracted, right?
Right.
They've always contracted, but there was a recent article in the Bridgeton News where the town manager talked about an incremental shift away from contracting to a public works department. But that's something that you can't do like bang one year. So the idea that we've tried to be entrepreneurial. We do have some, intergovernmental relationships already with other towns. Roadside mowing would be one. We've offered maintenance services because we have a mechanic, so of course we do that for the 3-town ACO vehicle. And so we're going to make some offers to them. Whether they accept them and think this is a good idea, who knows? But we think that it might be a good partnership for them to work with us for a period of time out of that facility. I think it's very doable for them for their town, and we could provide a lot of the support that they need to get going. And apparently Nate's talked to them, and I haven't talked directly with the town manager, but you've talked to them.
We've got a meeting coming up.
He's setting up a meeting for me to go meet with him, and we'd love to work with them and see if there's a way to do that together, and that could help to mitigate some of our costs in the early years of a bond, let's say, and help them get started. And it also helps to cultivate an ongoing customer for vehicles, too.
I think that, and I'm surprised it hasn't come yet, but I think there's a time where you're going to have to work with your neighboring towns.
Oh, yeah.
We've got a lot of equipment that we don't use every day that they could use. You run into problems in certain times like plowing and ditching that you're all doing the same thing, but there's a lot of little things that you can work with. And I think it's something that needs to be looked at. And
that's a good point, too. I left that out because we already, share an employee with the town of Naples. And so we have made equipment available to them on a rental basis that we're not using. Our priority first, of course. So they schedule around us, and so they don't have to purchase, duplicate that expensive equipment. We have a revenue.
I think.
And that relationship's worked good?
Pardon me?
That's worked well?
Yes, it's worked very well.
They haven't, maybe was a little harder on the equipment than you or your guys?
We send the equipment, if we're going to send something that's a specialized piece of equipment, we send it with an operator and they pay for that.
There we go.
Yeah, the mower goes with an operator. I've had one operator in that since we've purchased it.
Nice.
He's rented a pickup truck. He rented the
dump truck
F600 for a summer. He's borrowed the hand brooms because they've got nothing down there. It's incredible. They hired 2 people and said, good luck. Casco did the same thing. He come down one day to borrow a shovel. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. He's well, I haven't got a shovel. I'm like, hey.
The famous story, when I first came here, I got a call from my good friend, Dave Morton, about the Edwards Road washing out, and wanted to know if we could come down and put some cones up. They didn't have cones and the road was washed right out. So we did that for them. So they're starting from a low level, but I think they're committed to doing this, and so I think it's a good way to work together.
So waiting a year, you don't think things are going to go up more?
Well, it's gonna. If you guys said yes, go do it right now, I couldn't put the building up in a year. Even if we took the plans from the town of Gloucester, which they gave me a set of their plans, you've got to send those out to an engineer and have them fit to the property that we have. That's going to take 6 months, and to get a contractor, it wouldn't happen in a year. That's why I said I just need. I guess I need permission. Do I go forward, or do you guys not want to go forward, or what do you do?
Joe has gone from building to building to building.
Well, Joe's going to stay down at the 47 Main Street project, the building down there. That's why we're doing that. Eventually, I'll move out of that and go to hopefully down to the same.
Well, I think eventually, we're going to be at the school eventually.
Right. So That's, what did we say, 5, 6 years?
Well, they're now saying 27, but, and I'm with Nate. Nate basically proposed that maybe we should look at what we have for properties, and, you know, I don't see where we need, say, 47 Main Street. You know, we've got some properties, we're gonna have to keep, you know, the East Raymond Station.
Well, yeah, the East Raymond
We're gonna have to
Station.
keep that, but there is some backland there that, you know, might be developable land, maybe not. It wasn't developable for us because it wasn't big enough for our use. So maybe look at some of our assets to help mitigate the cost, and look at partnerships to help with the cost, but put everything in one spot like everybody else. I mean, we're scattered all over town, you know, in 3 different places. But, and not tomorrow, but he's saying, should we look at that moving forward? And I think we should.
And I think
I agree. I think
whatever we
should too, and it's only
put-
going to get more expensive.
Yeah, and whatever we put into 47 Main Street is only going to improve it and make it more resaleable.
And that's also the town office too, I would say, unless somebody has a really deep attachment to it. You know, I mean, the historic value of it, like the Hawthorne House, they're working to bring that back and establish you know, a use and a place for it. But the town office has been renovated and chopped, hacked, cut, reorganized. We do it on a week basis. So if you want to do anything at all, it would be, if you want to keep that building, I would say just the front part. But I don't see where the town has a use for it. We're going to have everything we need and more at the school. And there are people who like to buy those old buildings and renovate them into houses and so forth. And so, but that's up to you. We have got some assets, is all I'm saying, to help.
Another question. Sorry, another question. Your admin, where is
Melissa.
that in here? Because I thought you and Joe were talking about.
We were, but we didn't do the building work down there, so we're still bothering Melissa up to the town office. I think the plan, and everything came to a stop when I realized I didn't have enough money to do the building. And there was a lot of factors in that. Pricing's come down some, not a lot, but it has come down some. We were right at the peak, so we just stopped. The plan is to have Melissa come down 2 days a week to our shop, and then 2 days a week up to the town office is what we had talked about. And that would change her salary more onto us and half onto Kurt and Dawn.
And that would be enough based on, I guess, everything that Joe's bringing in to split that, and then with you
I think
too?
for now, yes. I think for now, yes, I do.
Okay. I know we had talked about it before.
Well, I think when you get into if we get into the school, that's going to change a lot of things. Joe's going to be moved up to the school. There'll be more access to somebody to help him clerically there. And I don't generate that much paperwork, I hope. And I can borrow somebody a couple of days a week. So I think hiring a full-time position for that wouldn't, you'd have too much idle time.
Okay.
Outside of that, we got the playground equipment, you guys talked about that. That's back in the budget this year.
Did you want to talk about town buildings?
Town buildings, we added money for the light bill.
Utilities.
Utilities, that was it. Other than that, the rest of my budgets stayed pretty good. I hope.
I'd like to speak to the cemeteries for a second, just to give an update. I've asked for the same amount to repair stones and whatnot, and they will be working this coming spring for this fiscal year in North Raymond Road Cemetery, and that's what the next fiscal year will be as well, to repair the stones there to start with. There's quite a few broken. And also, I just wanted to let you know that Matt Sanborn has continued in his dad's rather large footprints to continue to be our sexton, and he's done a fantastic job with that.
Good to hear.
Any questions for Public Works?
Why did I see cemeteries on here?
Right in the bottom of the spreadsheet.
Oh, thanks, sorry. My finger. Thanks. Well, no, she's asking for 0. What am I missing?
I should be asking for 3,500. I'd asked for the same amount as last year.
So it was a 0 increase from last year.
Oh, all right, because
Yes,
the land
0.
improvement cemetery, public services is 0, so she's got 4,300 under repairs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any questions for Nathan?
Other than you do a wonderful job.
Don't tell anybody.
I deal with other towns, municipal, and you're top shelf.
Well, we've got a really good bunch of guys that back me up
Yeah.
on this. I
Yeah,
couldn't
you
do it without
can't
them.
do it alone.
No. It's been a pleasure working with them, and they do a good job. They come here and they just go.
Yeah.
We've had some.
A lot of them being as good as they are, though, is because of you, too, Nate, so.
Right, but I get, yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, it's reality, though.
So they're happy, and that makes me happy, and hopefully we're done with winter.
No, we won't be.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Well, let's see here.
Library
Technology.
Or technology, TC two.
and library.
Library.
Yeah, let's go to technology.
Okay, do you guys have the sheets that I gave to Sharice?
Yes.
Okay, good. The big focus this year and into next year has been updating three main areas. One is network. We're replacing the 10 to 15-year-old switches, firewalls, bringing everything up to current standards and functionality. We've got, then, like I said, that's going to be going into the end of next year. It's a huge project. We're working also to upgrade 10 to 15-year-old uninterruptible power supplies, the UPSs, and those most of them, we have run them right out to the end, and they're starting to fail. Nathan was very happy to help us out there the other day, getting one of those replaced at the portable in the other room there. Very critical for the infrastructure. The other big area, of course, is adding in the library. We've started upgrading and bringing them into our infrastructure. We put in the electronic lock system down there now. We're working to replace their communication cabinet and bring their cameras, security cameras, and phones into our network. So those are, like I say, the three big areas for us this year, and like I say, running into next year. I don't know if there's any particular places you want to look at in the accounts. If you have any questions on any of those areas, just, I'm here to answer. We tried to bring in the infrastructure network services, so all of the cable modems, the routers, the fiber and stuff, we brought that into one account this year, which makes it easier to see our overall network costs from a provider, Spectrum. And you have that. You also have the network diagram, so you can get an appreciation of what we're supporting.
Some of them do, some of them don't. Kevin, I can update their books if need be. He did a very nice diagram of the whole networking from server to...
If you let me share my thing, I could show that. I don't know if I can see that on the screen or...
I can't let you, but somebody might be able to.
Oh, you don't have one.
He's the tech guy.
That would be me, just a
I can pass the copy around.
Maybe the tech guy, but I'm not the guy in charge.
Okay, you should be able to, Kevin.
Oh, we should.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me find the...
He's looking at this sheet that should be in your book.
Some have it, and some
Oh,
don't.
do you have that? Okay.
Ha! I'm the only selectman that got it.
It's at the back side, right before Tassel Top and Rec. Should be the
Oh,
last.
Lonnie got it. I got it.
I don't think Karen has it, and just because you got your book, I was able to put it down.
I'm so eager.
The next one.
Oh, perfect.
Services, Tassel Top.
Oh, look at that.
You have been not letting you, Kevin?
No, it says I'm
Do you have an
disabled.
extra one for Rob?
Oh, I've got one participant can share at a time. Let me go to advanced options, see what I
Never
find.
mind.
That's a bunch of mumbo jumbo to me, though.
Okay, just change it so that all participants can share.
I just want it to work.
Yeah.
I think everybody has that now.
There you go.
Okay, so you can see basically we're built around all the communications between all the different buildings in the town for the municipality that go through Spectrum, with the exception now, well, even though we are using Spectrum, you can see that the red lines are fiber lines, and we did get that link between the town office and the public safety building, which has enabled us to get the off-site backups, which are critical. So if we had a disaster at either place, the servers and all the networking and everything can be restored at either of those locations. So we're doing backups from public safety to the town office and from the town office to public safety. So that was a big piece, and you can see, if you look at the budget, that cost us quite a bit of money, and we're working, and Don probably could fill you in, but we're working on with a regional collab committee for the regional area to get to get fiber to all of the businesses and houses and anything that needs fiber. And hopefully within the next 2 or 3 years, we'll get that in, and that would drastically reduce our costs. That committee's moving along. We're I think, looking at 5 vendors starting next week. We put out an RFP, and actually Rolf could fill you in there too, because he's on that committee.
Yeah, Rolf would be the best resource there, but I don't know if you want to add anything, Rolf.
Well, I mean, at this point, it's still, the committee put out an RFP. It's been answered by some people, and the responses are under review right now. But I mean, the intent is ultimately to be able to select one vendor, and then they would then have to go through and do all the wiring and connections and all that. So the long-term goal is that every house and every business will be connected with fiber.
Right, and that was, at the beginning of this effort, there were some towns that were looking at, what I call halfway measures, and I think, Kevin's participation, Rolf's participation in this thing, that as far as I know, Kevin, they're not doing that now, right? Everybody's looking at fiber to home?
Yeah, we're looking at everybody getting fiber in, because that's really the only way to move into the future with being able to support the bandwidth and various other things that we need to be concerned about. And one of the reasons I brought this up too is when you were talking about bonds earlier, that would definitely be a bonding situation.
I think it's going to be a combination, of bonding, federal and state resources. There may be a component of the private sector investment. That's what's yet to be figured out. That's what the committee that Rolf and Kevin are on, and they're working on. It won't be free, but and there are options to own the network, not own the network. Have somebody run the network, have somebody own and run the network. There's all sorts of permutations that can be looked at, probably individually by town. But the fundamental thing is it's fiber to the home, and then towns will have to make individual decisions on where they want to go, as I understand it.
So that was my
something's
question.
changed.
So that you're saying fiber to the home, because I know where we live, it's old.
It's old, yeah.
My internet's the worst.
Yeah. Did you put a big booster in the
I
basement?
put boosters in every corner. I have like too many boosters.
Yeah.
We're talking a minimum of 1 gigabit per second symmetrical up and down, with the option of going to 10 gigabits and up to 40 gigabits for the town, municipality, getting dark fiber between the buildings and stuff. So we're putting in, it took a lot, but we have managed to show that this is the right way to go.
And there are some substantial costs involved in what we're doing now. And I mean, it's not enough to offset what we're going to have to invest, but you're going to have a different product, a different service, and you're not going to be in a situation where you're behind the technological times. And one of the biggest things we learned from the pandemic is people really want to be here in this environment. And if you have, robust internet access up and down, there are people who are going to come here and bring their businesses here, work from home here. I think it's an overall economic and demographic good for the town.
But isn't there all kinds of federal and state
There is.
available?
It's coming, but I'm just saying, don't count on that being everything.
Yeah.
Second, it won't do everything, but it would be, there'd be applications for grants, there'd be applications for federal money, there'd be applications for, assistance any place you can get it. But at the end of the day, you're still going to have some town costs.
We'd like it to be the Raymond way, you know, revenue neutral. Maybe they build it and send us a check, but I don't think it's going to be that this time.
Is Spectrum involved in any of this?
I don't want to comment about that.
Okay.
Maybe Ralph
Well, no,
does.
Spectrum is one of the people that have responded to the RFP, and we're giving everybody an equal chance. But we're not saying, you know, okay, can some vendors say we're going to use coax or we're going to use wireless? No, we're saying absolutely fiber to the premise.
The reason I don't want to comment is because, you know, the system we have now, I mean, they do what they do, and they're sort of, well, they are a monopoly, essentially.
Right.
And so we're looking at options. They're one of the options. They may win the day. That's what the committee's going to do. But I mean, right now, we don't have options.
Having good internet is right up there with having a couple good courts.
Well, I mean, and
Well,
good internet,
No, and
you're talking
I'm
about
serious
all
about
of
that.
your
I really am.
communications will be
It's important.
funneling through the internet.
You know,
So, you know, your phone, your TV, you know, every bit of data that you do, you know, medical services, you can't, the future of this is, we have to lay a good, solid foundation for the future of this thing.
So if you put fiber in, will your phone go down when you have a power outage?
Not if you have a battery supply locally for your phone.
you will even get phone service maybe where you live.
I don't get cell service right now, so.
Yeah.
It's only uphill from there for you.
You don't?
No.
That's where you need the UPS, Joe.
All right.
So I don't know if I missed that while I was in the out back, but there's a change in the contract services to reflect, you know, a difference in service. We have now the library, and it's been a number of years since there's been a change there, so I wanted to point that out. But Kevin and his team, they do a great job for us. I think years ago, Joe, you had your guy come and look at it, and I think he called it a bear bunker. Yeah. And I call that although that's could be seen pejoratively, I think it's positive. Kevin does a great job in locking us down to the degree possible. He tells me never to talk about it, though, because you can never anticipate every uncertainty that might come your way. But they're 24/7, 365 support, and they do take a look at the network diagram. I don't think there's a town in this region, our size certainly, and maybe in the state, that does what we do. So that's one place where I think I would say, head and shoulders above virtually any town I know about. And Kevin's been pushing, and I've been pushing now. We're doing, you know, technological training. That's part of the merit system. You take your training, you pass your training. That's part of it. You don't, that's part of it. Although most people don't take that option. So.
The option of not doing it.
Not more than once, anyway.
Yeah.
So, and Kevin's been a big part of that. He's always pushing us to do better.
That's great.
Yep.
Kevin just appeared.
He's there, he's there.
He's got that kind of technology.
Any other questions on the budget or the network infrastructure?
No.
What about CIP?
Want to go to Allison?
Oh, you mean?
Oh, for Kevin's spot.
Oh, Kevin, see it.
Yeah, so the problem with this business is everybody keeps coming to me, I need a laptop, I need a printer, I need this and that. So, and what we're going to do now, and we talked about with Sharice and Dawn, is we're going to be putting hardware, and this is what I do with my own accounting, but things that should be capital budgets, we put in CIP from now on. We'll put in stuff that, if, you know, to repair something, or for, you know, PC breaks, we'll, you know, buy a new PC, but that will be out of the service accounts versus the CIP. And we're going to put all the new requests for hardware and some software, because software can actually go into capital according to standard accounting practices, depending on the software. So we're going to roll that stuff into CIP, and I'm going to try to, I put an anticipated 25 in. I'll give you an example. Joe's summer program needed a laptop and a printer, and, you know, that wasn't scheduled or anything, but we took that out of our account, and I'm taking that out of, you know, the CIP. So we have a lot of those requests during the year, and that's where I added that 25 in for the unanticipated.
25,000?
Right. Well, Joe's laptop and printer came to about 3,500. So that's just one, one anticipated request. And you can ask Sharice what we put in there this year, things that we didn't anticipate on, failing were some of the big UPSs, and the big UPSs run at $6,000 a piece.
Do we still, I think we do, buy servers and then refurb them? Is that something?
We
we're still
buy
doing?
secondhand servers on eBay. There's a really good company, and they still have like 3 years warranty on them, and we have not had any issues with them. And we pay at least a third of the retail price for those Dell servers. And then we buy one generation back, and they have lasted between 10 and 15 years for each purchase we have made of those.
And I can assure you that no town or school's doing that.
And if you look at that diagram and you saw the number of virtual machines that run on those servers, typically, and that's the best practices, is to run one function per server. A lot of towns have, not towns, but bigger organizations run hardware. So for each function that's running, so like the Trio software or the security software or the domain server software, those could run on different hardware servers, but we run those on virtual machines on one physical server, so we're making the best possible use of our resources.
Right. And that's something you can only do if you have the technological skills to do it, which is not everybody.
Any other questions?
Any last questions? Thank you, Kevin. Next stop is the village library. I know Allison is on.
And I would like to thank Allison for joining us tonight. She's not feeling well, but she's at least at home, not on vacation, I guess. But
Not in Hilton Head?
Not in Hilton Head. But so the change, whenever you change a meeting date, you change things sometimes.
Yeah.
But so I'd like to thank her for being here, and this is her first presentation as our new library director. But before she does that, I want to tell you what a pleasure it is working with her and the library staff and this transition. Once again, I got to give Teresa credit. This is something she worked hard on, and it's worked out really well. Another place where we've gotten 0 complaints. People are very happy, and I'm very happy with the library staff, and so this is her first budget presentation. Allison?
First off, I'd just like to say really briefly that the whole transition to the town department this past year has gone remarkably well. It's been a very positive experience for all of us here at the library. So we really appreciate all the help from everyone at the town office that made that transition go so smoothly. Our patrons have been very supportive of all the changes, and we're continuing to see a solid increase in patrons, circulation, program attendance. That's always been our goal, so it's been really great to see that happening. Our budget request is very similar to last year's, and I'm so sorry, I just realized the video is not showing. There we go, sorry. So our budget request is very similar to last year. I've kind of got it in the order of what's on the screen, I believe. Our salary line will stay pretty much the same with a 0% increase. That will continue to cover the current level of staffing. We have 2 full-time members and 1 part-time employee. So that will not change for the upcoming year. We did eliminate the legal audit expense line. That was rendered obsolete when we became a town department. It was originally left in the budget at the recommendation of the previous finance director while that was all getting worked out, and it has since been removed. The general software line did see an increase of $1,500. This line covers associated costs of our website, our newsletter software, annual fee for Main InfoNet, which is our cloud library holdings access. It also covers the anticipated cost of the new library consortium that's being developed. Well, it should be in the works within the next month or two. So it will cover those fees as well going forward. The travel and training line, that remains flat. That just basically covers trainings and classes for professional development. The dues and publications line, that went up by $10. That covers the cost of attending, the membership in the Maine Library Association and the Library Journal publications. So there was just a small increase on that one. The building maintenance line, we've left flat. We've only identified a few areas of the building that need some minor paint repair projects, nothing substantial that we needed to budget for that. The general supplies line was increased. That's primarily due to the steep increases in the cost of office printing, materials processing. All those supplies have gone up a lot over the past 6 months. We were able to reduce the postage line a small amount. We eliminated the box rental fees, so we took $200 off of that. The bank charges and credit card fees line, that was also rendered obsolete when we became a town department, so you'll see that has been removed. The books, media, and magazines lines, that's one of our largest expenditures, other than salaries. That is going to stay flat as well. That covers the cost of all books and media that go into the circulating collection, but we think we're going to be fine with just keeping that flat. The price of books has gone up, but we think that is more than enough to cover that. We have reduced our programming line by $1,000 for the upcoming year to offset some of the other increases in this year's budget. We hope to supplement the programming through private donations and more contributions from the Friends groups now that they're up and running going forward for programming. The phone and utilities lines both show a slight increase. Well, one of them is a large increase, but that's largely due to the CMP. I believe it was a 49% increase, which anticipated annual increase for us puts up to $1,100 a year increase for Central Maine Power, unfortunately. The security alarm and monitoring, that stays the same. That basically covers the monitoring and annual inspection from Cunningham Security. They do our fire and entry alarm system. The equipment line was increased by $1,000. That's just to cover the anticipated costs. We have some furnishings and equipment that are scheduled for replacement in the upcoming year. And those are basically all the lines that we either kept the same or we increased a little bit. Overall, our increases totaled $5,110. Our reductions totaled $2,000. So the total budget increase for us was $3,110 for the upcoming year. Happy to answer any questions if you want more specifics on any of those line items, or if you want to know about anything that's happening at the library.
Joe and Allison are working a lot together, so
Right.
different programming, which is great.
And we're trying to work a lot more with the rec department to kind of save costs there, and the consortium with the other town libraries. We're trying to work with Casco, Naples, to see what we can do together to see what we can do for cost savings there as well.
Great.
Bob? Bob?
Go ahead, Don.
I haven't asked for permission, so surprised that time.
Go ahead, Don.
So, do you know about, I know you worked with the Age Friendly group, and Joe's working on that. Where's that at? Are they coming back?
We have tried to schedule a couple meetings. Joe had set a couple up, and the Just Day is in charge of that right now, and so she was away at Augusta for one of them, and then there was something else, there was a conflict, so we haven't gotten together as a group yet. But the plan is, once everybody is back in town, is to set that up again so that we can see what we can coordinate for seniors between the three organizations.
Right, it sort of went by the wayside during the pandemic a bit, and as you might expect, but I'm glad that's coming back.
I did a informal survey during our senior hours, and a lot of our senior patrons are very interested in those organizations working together to do different activities, programs, trips, that kind of thing. They would be very interested in participating.
Good job, Allison.
Thank you.
Allison, I appreciate seeing your activities posted on Facebook and encourages people to follow up on further opportunities as well. I like the direction the library's going, and I want to thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we try to get it out to as many places as possible. We're doing a lot of outreach to try and reach people that don't normally use the library. Our children's librarian is doing story times all over town and at daycares and parks. So we're getting more new people in through the Facebook, social media, being out in the town.
Any other questions for Allison?
Great job, Allison.
Thank you very much, Allison. Now we're going to look at revenues. Who speaks to that?
I don't know, do you want to kick that one off, Sharice? You want me-
Sure. Yep. So if I'm to look at, let me pull it up here on the screen.
We got a couple areas where you think we can make some changes, I know.
Yes.
So we got some revisions to talk about, slight revisions. One of those would be the rescue from 180 to 200, we think. And a smaller increase in the code office from 125 to 130. We're going to pick up an additional town, I guess, as a mowing customer this year, so under Public Works revenue, that's a change, right?
Right, roadside contractual work, yes. Another municipality is joining us.
And of course, some of our state revenues are being reduced because of the deficiency in our certified ratio.
Correct.
So they're being factored.
The homestead and the Betty and the Better.
That'll be corrected through a reval, but not until.
And the assessor has done a conservative estimate for an increase in property tax revenue, 8 million, and at the current millage rate, that would be an additional 120,000. Excise tax seems to be still going strong. I do see, you know, the bar keeps going up, so people are, buying cars still and registering those, and we're on a good track. Seems to go up every single year. And some other things to point out was the state revenue sharing that went down 40,000 based on their projections. We are not eligible for revenue sharing 2, and the current year that we're in, FY23, it amounted to 16,000, so not a huge loss there, but still a loss. General assistance reimbursement, depending on, I built into the budget 15,000 for that program. And so we get 70% reimbursement. So depending on if you decide to fund that as proposed or want to increase it, that amount would be adjusted to reflect the 70%. As Dawn had mentioned, talking with Alex in further detail today, he feels comfortable in increasing that up to 130,000 from the proposed 125. And the other one, as Dawn had mentioned, would be the rescue fire collections. I probably proposed that at 180,000 just to be conservative. I tend to be conservative on revenues and try to, project what expenses might be for increases, but I feel pretty confident in talking with our billing agent that we could go to, we also increased our fees a year ago. The Board of Selectmen decided to increase their rescue billing fees that we charge, and he did tell me that our collection ratio is about 86%. So we do have a good collection return. However, those that are, I guess based on the funding of the Medicare and Medicaid, that's a very large percentage of our rescue billing. And don't know if I'm going to put Kathy on the spot, but they're in the process of some type of 5-year study, and maybe she can speak to that as to where that is in process and why they're doing it.
They're doing it's 4 years of every municipality who takes in Medicare, Medicaid accounts has to do a year-long study and present to Medicare what your expenses are, your fuel, your cost, everything. And then their 5th year of the study, they're in year 3, just started year 3, they'll take all this information and see, do they go up on their rates? So they're taking 5 years to figure out they're not paying us enough. So it will be probably 2025, 2026 before we see any substantial increases in Medicare or Medicaid reimbursements. Although the state of Maine is looking for Maine Care, and we have quite a few people that have Maine Care are looking, there's some legislators out right now trying to increase that because a lot of the small ambulance companies are going under because of finances. Especially the private ambulances who really rely on Maine Care, Medicare, and that, they're failing. So there is hopefully some movement in the legislature to increase those rates. It's not going to make a huge difference for us, but I think we can easily plan on $220,000 next year that we'll collect. We made $222 last year.
That's after booking the receivable, outstanding
Right.
receivable, but
And the tough part is you don't know. Some years the call volume is up, some years the call volume is down. But we did over 1,000 calls last year, and about 60% of our call volume is EMS. So, and out of that, about 60% of those calls are federally funded, so Medicare, Medicaid, or Maine Care. Those are our
Do you
biggest
think
things.
that there's issues, or there's going to be issues that we need to prepare for, that ambulance companies are going under? So it's gonna be more, it's not gonna be as much support, or no, your fluff is gone.
The problem is the transporting agencies, the non-emergency ones. So we've had it in Raymond, it has affected us. We've had one patient that spent over 2 days in an emergency room in a bed at Maine Med because he needed to go back by ambulance to his house in Raymond, and they couldn't get anybody to transport him back. So Maine Med is, of course, our biggest, about 60% of our volume goes to Maine Med. We're in discussions with them that possibly if one of our ambulances goes to Maine Med, drop off a patient, could we maybe take a patient home at the same time? The problem is we are classified as an emergency response, not a non-transporting. So we're trying to work out the details on that. It's just not so easy to say, hey, Lonnie, you want to ride home? Get in the ambulance and we'll take you home.
Right.
And then bill your insurance and they would say, no.
Right.
So it's
That
coming
idea
down.
is huge. I mean, in the trucking industry, which I'm very, very familiar with, that is a huge part of it, is backhauling something. So you're driving,
Exactly.
produce from Florida to Maine. Well, what do you get out of Maine to go back to?
Right.
Which has always been why a lot of cost came out of Maine, because
But it's-
there wasn't any.
Right, and that's
But-
happening now. The hospitals, they're going on diversion a lot, and there's big studies on that. So Maine Med will go on diversion. It means we do not have any more hospital beds available. So don't bring your patients to us because we can't put them anywhere. And if you've ever been to any of the hospitals now, you're lucky if you get a room and you're not in a bed in the hallway. But they're overbooked, they're overcrowded, and the big reason is because they can't move out the people. They can't get them home. Because a lot of them, the elderly, the handicapped, whatever, have to go by ambulance to go home. So Maine Med will go on diversion, and then 3 hours later, because Mercy has picked up all the influx of patients that should have been going to Maine Med, they go on diversion. One night, this winter, we had 5 hospitals in this area on diversion. It was like, where are you taking your people?
Where do you go then, Lewiston?
We go to Lewiston or wherever. Now, when I say that, I don't want to alarm the public. You still have a choice of which hospital you want to go to. And Maine Med is the trauma center, it's the cardiac center, it's the OB high risk. They still have to, by law, take those patients. So you're still getting the care, but the problem is people don't have PCPs, their own private physicians. So they're using the emergency rooms. I got a cut on my finger. I have a stomach ache. I have something like that. So it is a huge, huge problem, and we're starting to see the drawbacks and on it. It's going to get worse before it gets better. But
Who makes the determination? I mean, you pick up somebody, you don't, I mean, you have probably an idea of what the situation is, but, you know, when you talk about somebody who's in a critical situation, do you make the decision, the ambulance? Or does
you're
the
supposed
hospital?
to,
How does
by
it-
law, give the patient a choice of where they want to go within
But I'm saying if somebody's,
an
what
area.
if somebody can't make the choice and you just take
But
them?
then the paramedic in charge says, this is the facility you need to be at because of, we know what the facilities can handle. For example, we're not going to take a trauma patient to Bridgeton Hospital because Bridgeton is then going to life flight them to Maine Med or Central Maine. So we make those decisions in the field.
And they have to take those people. And you make the decision and you choose a hospital, even if they're on diversion, they have to take
For
those
certain things, they have to take them, yes.
But you make the determination.
Yes. Yep.
So, you don't get to the door and they say, that doesn't meet the criteria.
They will call us over the radio and say, hey, you know, we're on diversion. Can you please go somewhere else? But it's a challenge.
I bet it is.
So a couple of the other small increases would be interest on taxes. Right now, it's 4%, and this coming billing cycle, it can go up to 8%. The 8 is the maximum. So a slight increase there if you seem to follow whatever the state allows in years past. And investment income up a little bit. Interest rates are going slowly, but they're going upwards. And last year, I didn't realize it, but we do get a workers' comp dividend based on how long we've had our policy with Mimic. And as long as we have it, come October, the dividend ends up being about $4,600.
You got back?
We got back, yeah. So we recognize that revenue, and then fire permits were not previously a budgeted revenue, and I think we're presently at close to 3,000, but I just, to be on the conservative side, I put in for 2,000. So it's just some minor increases in those buckets.
Have you identified out of the 16 million on the real estate, how much of that is on the
Stabilization.
stabilization?
He had said that at his, when he was presenting, I think, the assessing budget, 15%, and I have asked him to break that out for me, Rolf, in a tracking piece.
Yeah, 'cause we really need that as a separate line, because essentially what'll happen is if the legislature doesn't pony up what it's supposed to, we're gonna show we're gonna show delinquencies on the real estate side, where, in which case, we should then be sending the state to collection for not paying what they're supposed to pay.
Yeah.
But, because otherwise, it's gonna show up as a delinquency on the property owner's side, because they're gonna have an underpayment essentially recorded against their property.
Well,
Because, sure, you've got the total bill, then you've got the offset.
yeah, but the offset's not their responsibility.
It's not, but at the end of the day, you still have that total commitment.
Yeah.
So I mean, by doing that, you identify what the state actually owes. So if they don't come up with it, then you can see what the state did not do.
Yeah, I'm
They're
not.
pretty good at telling you what they're going to, we saved you this much by doing this and that. And if they don't come through, they never say that.
Yeah.
In this way, you've got an identified
I
line that
mean, I think
says,
Kurt said we have, what, 331?
350 applications.
Right, somewhere in there, right?
Yeah.
So he's gotta go through each one of those and say, okay, what's what's the tax? And he can't do it until his budget's finalized. Right?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
But you do need to have it separated out, because, I mean, the state owes it to us, the property owner does not owe it to you.
It's gonna be a hard calculation to make, at least not for the
Yeah, I don't think
couple
he's
of months.
completed his review of who
Right.
qualifies or not at this point.
We talked about that at the legislative breakfast, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
See
not a
what-
problem, they're gonna fund it? Well, it's funded for what?
No, they got a
Yeah.
solution. They got bills they got solutions coming. They don't know what they are yet, but they got them coming.
Yeah, the solution is to do away with it, or to set an income limit on it.
Yeah.
Which is more likely what's gonna happen. Because right now, it's just 65 and over.
You'd almost think that means testing would have occurred to them.
Yeah.
You think?
You would have thought.
It was an
That's
election
common
year.
sense, so.
Yeah, I mean,
It
yeah.
it was an election year.
That's it? I think that's it, although I've been told at the breakfast that wasn't it, but I think that's it.
Hockey.
Where's the hockey?
Any questions on revenue?
So you're raising the CEO fees to 130, and you're raising the fire rescue to 220.
To
200.
200.
She's saying 220
I
next
feel
year.
comfortable with. I think
Why wouldn't you feel comfortable at 220? Because you collected in 2022, 220. You look at what you've already collected year-to-date, you're at 120,000 for 5 months. I mean, tracking that would get you to far above the 220.
It's up to you. I have a
Yeah,
tendency to be
she
more
indicated
conservative.
that she's conservative on it, but certainly the trend would say that that would work, and that would be something you could do.
It's also a shot in the dark. How many calls are we gonna have, right?
Well, look at
Well,
our
that-
history.
yeah,
Our history has been
that's going this way.
That slope is going this way.
Yeah, I think it's a good bet, but it's a bet that you guys want to make,
I
maybe.
mean, it seems to be just 10, 15, 20% off. It's not that far off, but it's off.
Yeah, if you want.
If you go that route, that
I mean, you really you need to, when we review this thing for final, you need to really start nickel and diming.
Right, you're not there yet.
We're not there yet.
But you could do that, and I mean, we're trying to tell you what we are certain of, or we think we're certain of, because there's no certainty out there.
That's my comfort level, I guess.
Well, I mean,
I
you know,
respect
as I
that.
say, your 2023, let's say is actual, but we know that's year-to-date, but that's through December. So you had July through December, you're already at 120.
Right, so that's the next meeting where you do that.
Yeah, I think it would be helpful at the next meeting to have up-to-date numbers on everything.
Okay.
So like through
Through-
February 28th
Yeah.
would be a good
Yeah,
target? Okay.
I think so. Just,
Yeah, so I did just a quick, when we're talking about rescue billing, I just did the analysis of bringing it up to February. The year-to-date through February 28th is 157,564. And then if I looked at the last quarter of FY '21 and FY '22, the average of that was about 42,000. So that
you
brings,
said 157 through February?
yep,
Keep in mind, though, that covered
5, 7
July,
months.
August, September, which are our busiest months of the year, call volume.
Yeah, so if you extrapolate on a monthly basis, you're at 269.
taking an average, is that what, yeah.
Yeah, you take the 157 divided by 7 times 12.
Right, but we've hit our busiest months, so our biggest income months have come.
Come and
for the
gone.
year.
Come and gone.
You know, January and February don't compare to July and August.
July, August, September, October.
not even close. Sometimes even
Right.
double.
December,
Right.
January,
Right.
February. Oh,
It is.
8. That should be divided by 8.
Yeah,
157
nine,
divided by
people.
8.
So what I did, Joe, was look at the last quarter of fiscal year '21 and the last quarter of fiscal year '22, and those average out to 42,000.
Yeah, you're still at 235 if you take the current year averages per month. So, like I said,
That's it.
well, no, you could still be conservative, but I think it's a discussion for next meeting.
Right, but.
So get you get everything updated as
Through
to
February.
where they're at
Yeah.
as of February 28th.
Yep,
And-
including expenses. You want?
Yes, yes, of course, yeah. By the next meeting, that means next week.
Is that all right?
What was it?
That
what
was like
it gonna-
somebody just hit her in the back of the head with a pan, like, whoa.
You're not going to Hilton Head?
I'll try to ask very little of you this week.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. This week's almost.
I'll try.
We'll have you do software. It should be fairly easy.
Yeah.
Mm.
No, it's not too difficult.
All right.
Did we do county tax?
No, we haven't.
No, we did
I'm
not.
not even looking at that one. Rolf's gonna have a.
You
fit
want
on
to
that
talk
one.
about a bunch of boneheads? Read all
Bunch of
these
boneheads?
letters. Yeah. Read these letters they wrote about their transition to the calendar year or fiscal year.
Fiscal year.
We're paying $974,000 probably per year for the next 5 years,
Oh my
so they could transition to a fiscal year.
It could be worse. Some towns are
And
doing.
what exactly do we get from the county besides the jail that we have hardly anyone in? Well, at least the last time.
Dispatch.
We get the sheriff's patrol,
that's
dispatch,
right.
dispatch and sheriff's patrol are the big,
Oh, that's
big
right.
things we get.
Pay for the sheriff.
And of course,
You
you
go
get the
down and
registry,
ask
you get the registry.
Remember we asked one year? We asked the sheriff, how many people from Raymond were in the county jail? It was 5.
Which is, minor money.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't get much there, right.
And the other one, they said they gave us the registry of deeds.
I just mentioned that one.
Except we have to pay every time you
Right,
file a
you have to
deed.
pay every time you file a deed, but yeah, that's a great
they give it to
service.
us.
Yeah,
It keeps them all out of our town though, Joe. They're down there from other towns.
so we get the sheriff's patrol,
And dispatch.
jail.
The
and
dispatch is
dispatch.
actually a contracted amount under the fire department, 30-some-odd thousand, I think.
They are
a year.
transferring some of their ARPA money through various means. You know, they're using obviously a lot for their own purposes, but
Are we getting any?
well, the
We have
study
to
that's
keep
being
me
done, the
warm.
regional study that's being done, is being funded. They put some money aside to help with heating assistance.
They just gave us $50,000.
We did actually get some money from them too for the repowering of the boat.
Repowering the boat, they contributed a little there.
That took a little bit.
And they give us a used car every once in a while.
What did you say, they give us a used car?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a bargain.
Yeah, out of that
For
$974,000.
$974,000, hey.
Well, I will tell you, the last
There's a
used car,
Chevy Impala.
the last used car they gave us, the last used car they gave us, didn't turn out to be so great, but we fixed it. We got it for $0, put a couple grand in, sold it for $10,000. We got something more suitable, but, so they are,
160.
they do what they can. So they're good that way. Would you like a used car? And a lot of, we were like the only town doing that, but now a bunch of small towns do that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's funny.
And because, one funny one is our neighboring town, well, let's say Poland, I guess they had budgeted for a new car, and then somebody asked one of our people, I guess, Alex, one of the selectmen or somebody, said, how do you do it over there? And well, we do buy surplus cars. So I guess they may be getting a surplus car now. Didn't make for good relations, code-wise. Yeah. But it's worked out for us.
So you saw what town valuation is.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's 1.565 billion.
And I said to Kurt, I believe we're going to double, and he, oh, no, that's not happening. You got Rolf to say he was wrong, I got Kurt to say he was wrong. He thinks it might now.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it will.
Yeah, I think over the next few years, we'll be at 2 billion, especially when we go through the rebound.
Wow.
And then, of course, you're going to see the mill rate probably go in half or thereabouts. And then, but you know what happens when you get a 10 mill rate, what do you want? Or 9 mill rate, what do you want? Right? You can never be too low.
That's always a game, the mill rate.
I know, but no matter what the mill rate is, you can always be lower, right?
We haven't even gotten to school in this one.
Yeah. Has anybody heard what the school budget is going to be?
No.
Nope. We
They
can
have a
reach
lot
out,
on their
we can
hands
reach
right
out.
now.
They're fully funded, right? 55% funding.
No, they're not.
Property tax is supposed to go down, right?
Please.
Isn't that why we fully fund the 55%?
Yeah, the 55% is statewide, not
Right.
district-wide.
Right.
But I don't think the 55% involves capping the budget.
Right.
That's the problem.
Exactly.
It does, but the 55 is also statewide, so you've got certain places.
Right, but I say if you get 55, you can
Certain
still
places
increase
get
the budget, you know.
They're doing presentations on it now.
How much that budget is.
I haven't seen it because they can't even get through the first meeting of 2.5 hours of
Oh,
parent.
speaking of that,
Yeah,
I
parent
think we're going to have to
comments.
look at it. Did Kurt send us a memo on the possibility of an override?
Yes, that's for the 28th, I think, meeting on the 28th.
Oh, that's for the next meeting?
Yep.
Okay, so that's something we're going to have to consider again.
Because they're above the cap.
Yep.
That's if the budget goes through the way it is.
Al?
Maybe get some ice.
Yeah. If you can find, yeah, exactly.
All right, let's move this. I'm gonna go home.
Right. Hey, happy birthday, huh?
Pickleball
Yeah, exactly.
gentleman that was
For hours.
here dropped off the 10 top benefits of pickleball.
That's funny.
That's gonna be Steve
That
Mortimer.
is funny. You get exercise.
Yeah, he would do that.
That's it. That's the benefit.
Steve would so, yeah, he did, right there today.
Yep.
All right,
Oh my gosh.
Budget Finance Committee, comment? None? Select Board comment?
Already said what I needed to say.
Our next meeting will be next Tuesday, the 21st, is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
6:30.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Now you,
Not,
honey.
you are not on the Budget Finance Committee.
I'll make
I
the
was
second.
looking around, I was like,
All those in favor? Thank you very much, everyone.